because Bert van Leeuwenberghe and Florian Seneschal were there, and they're not at this Tour de France. And it's a crime that they're not at this Tour de France.
Talking about lead outs and sprints, we'll
Mm.
touch on Jasper Philipsen in a bit, but I want to focus about his lead out man. Well, we spoke about Mark Renshaw, best lead out man of his generation. Michael Merkur has kind of been, for a long time, been spoken about one of the best lead out men. But Mathieu van der Poel, do you guys think he's the best lead out man right now, barring that Binny push? But
Yeah, I think he is, to be honest. Literally just the side by sides. There's been multiple stages now where other lead out men have gone toe to toe with Van der Poel and he has blown them out of the water. When Mezgec tried to bring up Groenewegen, blown out of the water. When Laporte was leading out Wout van Aert in stage 8, blown out of the water. But just like people can't even compete. Van der Poel just goes and just freaking sets off. Philipsen in tow, and it's freaking lights out. Freaking see you later. Like freaking see you guys in the showers or whatever. Just like there's no point in even turning up once Van der Poel starts kicking off, and especially when he's just like he is Mathieu van der Poel. He's not just a lead out man. He is the absolute just wonder that is Mathieu van der Poel. Lead as a lead out man, that's insane. Like he hasn't really done much this tour, but he has been completely integral to Philipsen's success. And at the moment, he is probably the best lead out man in the peloton.
100% agree. I think we've seen it like every now and then in the past, where he's worked with Philipsen closely. And I mean, even Merlier as well, when Merlier used to be at Alpecin de Koning, their first ever Tour de France stage win. Who did the great lead out there? Mathieu van der Poel in that crazy day into Pontivy where there were crashes left, right, and center. This Tour de France, he's been there powering away. Every time he puts in that sort of thermo-biblical, whatever you want to call it, attack, we know that he's got this insane power that just nobody else can respond to. And we see that here on these lead outs of the Tour de France. Without Mathieu van der Poel, I don't think Jasper Philipsen would have podiumed 4 stages. He was still there at Limoges when Philipsen was just outgunned by Payson in the end based on that raw power in the uphill sprint. But Alpecin de Koning could win another 2, maybe 3 stage wins of this Tour de France. Philipsen, I think he might even break a Sagan green jersey record. He's also good on hilly sprints. So if, for instance, that stage to Issoire or the Beaujolais stage, maybe not the Beaujolais stage, but the stage to Issoire comes down to a bunch sprint or reduced bunch sprint, Philipsen will be there.
And it's just like an easy win. Like Pedersen is good on the drag kind of sprints. We've seen that like Paris in the past couple of years, but Philipsen, if it's like a small reduced group, like it's easily. If Van der Poel's there, it's just not even close because Van der Poel just goes woof and just zoom past everyone because he's not like the other lead out men are good, but they're not like Mathieu van der Poel is a world class athlete and he is just better than the lead out men because they're good at positioning and they're very experienced at doing that. But Van der Poel has that, but then he's actually just faster. He's just got more watts to deploy. So it's just like a cheat code that Philipsen has where he just says, Van der Poel, let's just go now. And they come from like 10th wheel or whatever, get up to the front, and then he just drops him off with Philipsen with the lightning fast speed that he has at the moment. It's an absolutely unstoppable combination. It's actually quite awe-inspiring. I can't think, Cavendish back in 2021 was very similar, and I think it's a very similar sort of esque performance that we're in for this year, and I'm all for it.
Astana need Mathieu van der Poel next year for Mark Cavendish so he can break the record.
There you go, easy.
Like the race course. He literally, okay, we know the Binny barge, but like he literally just drags him up into contention, and then Jasper, at one point I thought he could have just won the stage himself.
Also the stage to Limoges as well. Van der Poel could have won that stage. It suited him, but he has the humility to work for Jasper Philipsen as well and not cloud his own interests. Pushing all the way to the end, he locked Wout van Aert out of that in a way which I thought was quite sort of poetic if you want to read into the cyclocross rivalry there, where Laporte is doing the lead up through the center and Jumbo was sort of like, oh, no one's going to come around on the left hand side. Van der Poel arrives, Philipsen opens up, Wout is completely locked out of that sprint, and he has to settle for minor placing. So almost every sprint, that Bordeaux one, I think Van der Poel maybe stepped off the gas a little bit too early in that one, even though Alpecin de Koning controlled that final 3 kilometers perfectly. with Sinkeldam, with Kraunessen, then with Ricketts, then Van der Poel. But if he is fighting all the way to the end in Paris, Van der Poel on the Champs-Elysees coming out of that final corner on Place de la Concorde, it's going to be a photo for the ages.
Yeah, legit.
What does he actually do? Like, because we're used to him like kind of going for a big thing at the Tour or the Giro or whatever. And is he just content with being the lead-out man here and sharing with his teammates glory? He's already done enough this year in terms of victories like Paris, Milan, San Remo. So it's not like he needs a victory.
I think that there are stages which suit him though. Like stage 12, I think he could definitely do something there, but maybe stage 19 if they didn't go for Philipsen. But it does feel a bit weird how somebody of the caliber of Van der Poel may get to the end of this race without having actually really fought for his own victory. It does feel a little bit underutilizing talent, and I certainly don't think that the team should do that. I reckon Van der Poel should get his own opportunity in this race. Maybe they get later into the race and Philipsen has literally mathematically won the green jersey competition and they're just like, let's do something for Van der Poel. But by that point, they might be like, God, Philipsen's on for a record for winning the most stages in X number of years. Because I can't remember what the maximum number of stages is somebody's won in a Grand Tour.
I can tell you if you want to know.
Can you? Well, you could do that as the question.
Yeah, what's how many do you think?
I think it's like 9 or 10. I'll go 10.
Ewan?
I believe, is it Freddie Mertens? That rings a bell.
Yeah, I believe we talked about this before.
We did, but I can't remember the number. It was Freddie Mertens and a certain number.
It's 2, Eddie Merckx, Freddie Mertens, and someone else.
The 12.
8.
Oh,
8.
Yeah,
God, I was ambitious with 12.
How many stages? Right, we have a stage profiles. Could Philipsen break that?
Okay, Philipsen could win. So he'd win in Moulin, which is stage 11. He might win in Issoire on stage 12, on stage 10. Then Bourg-en-Bresse on stage 18. Stage 19, he could go for it. And Champs-Elysees, that's an extra 5.
And he's on 3.
So
he could draw. He could draw level.
But I reckon Issoire goes to a breakaway. Mohoric has sort of underlined it in his diary. And I think...
why are you looking at his diary?
Well, he said it. He said it in interviews.
You're just looking over when he's like writing. Hang on, wait a minute.
Mathieu and I are on good terms. This is my announcement that I am actually Mathieu Mohoric's agent and negotiating him a contract next year. With Paris Cycling Club, I heard there's this new project coming around.
Oh my god!
Cavendish and Case Ball are going to be in the lead out, and Nick Schultz is going to be their GC leader. And Mathieu.
I feel like you should be the team manager of a Paris cycling team.
Bro, I would have done a better job.